I guess you first. What went on in the decision, and given the injuries and the things that have happened, were they considered? Was that part of the factors?
Sorry, just 1 second before Lutz answers the first question. Just on behalf of everyone at the club, we do want to thank Bradley for his time here. He's been here for a year and a half coaching, but another year before that. I don't want to lose the opportunity to, on behalf of the club, thank him for his time, for his contribution, for his commitment, for his love for the city, for the club, and of course for the results that he achieved in 2023. We're sad to see him go, and we'll move on now to the Q&A.
Let me ask me again.
Yeah, what were the factors in the decision? Just talk about that.
Yeah, in the end of the day, it comes down to performances. We didn't win enough games this season. We didn't pick enough points. We had a clear goal for this season that we want to make the playoffs. We believe that that goal is now in danger. And unfortunately, it's part of professional sports and professional soccer that you have to make this decision. It was, for me personally, a very tough decision as well. We worked together for a long time. I knew Bradley before, and that's definitely a tough one. But we believe it was the right moment.
Lutz, if you guys had made it farther in the playoffs last year, would this still have happened this year?
Yeah, I don't think that we have to question last year's performance. I think we were happy with the outcome. Yes, we wanted to do better in the playoffs. In the end of the day, I think we had a fairy tale season, and we are very happy about that. And like Diego said, as a club, I think as a city, and also myself, we are very proud what we did, and Bradley played a massive role in that. And I really appreciate that, and we all do. So no, I don't think that has anything to do with the performances this season.
And then maybe some of the media see it, but just for the fans in general, what were some things that you wish had happened? I know the answer is winning, but leading up to the winning, what could have happened this season that would have maybe made it better for him?
It was lots of tight games. It was lots of draw games. I mean, if you draw a game, it could go either way. But I believe we left many points we should have had. We left them lying there where we shouldn't. And I think it's simply a time now where we realize we have to do better. And that's when we want to reset and have this fresh starts with new players coming in as well very, very soon. And I think that's the way we have to look into the future. I don't really want to look too much back now into 2023. It's done, and yes, it's a great achievement. But in the end of the day, we need to look forward. The future is that what we're here for, and we want to achieve our goals. And I believe we still can do that.
Next, we'll go to Tom Bogert.
Hey guys, thanks for taking the time. I've got two here. So the first one, a little bit of looking back. Could you talk to me about the conversations that went into Bradley? Maybe not just the final decision, but the conversations leading up to the decision of him being let go, and then looking forward, what are the types of profiles or characteristics you're looking for in your next manager? Thank you.
I mean, I think that in terms of the conversations that have happened, these are obviously never easy days, no? So it's not easy communication for anyone. Lutz, as he mentioned, this was his first head coach appointment and the first head coach for this club. So especially after that and last year's performance, it was a difficult communication. That one, and then all the other communications we had with the rest of the coaching staff and the players. Everyone is, of course, now needing to grieve a little bit with letting go of someone that has been our leader there in that training facility. But also everyone is a professional, and everyone knows that they have a responsibility and they have a job to do. And we are taking this decision now because we look to the future. We've got 14 games to go, and we want everyone to be able to close that chapter and move on and look forward to a game that we have very, very soon in 2 days. That's a very important game. And that's what we're trying to ensure everyone is able to do. So, of course, be thankful and grateful and give closure to the decision and to the moment, but very quickly look forward. That's all we can do as professionals in this club.
Yeah, Tom, we have a playing style, we have a philosophy, we have an identity that will not be thrown out of the window now. I think that was a clear decision made very early on, how we define ourselves on the field and off the field. So we do still want to play our high-intensity pressing game. That will not change, so that handwriting will stay. and that's exactly the profile we will look for again. This was also, we are not having really put our heads together right now to make the decision quick. It shouldn't be like a quick decision which is not thought. So that's why we decided to put John Hackworth in charge as an interim head coach, and we will definitely analyze the coaching market and see what's best out there for us.
Lutz, I know this is a difficult day for you, but what responsibility do you take in having to make this move and the roster composition? On Saturday night, I think you had a combined 7 goals in your starting lineup. But what about yourself in this?
Well, as a sporting director, you have to take always a certain responsibility. Also, if you make a decision that the head coach will be terminated, that also obviously falls under my department here, which I'm happy to acknowledge, and that's fine. We did have injuries, that's no doubt, but we had injuries last year as well. We had last year's players out like Klaus, like Löwen and Nielsen at the same time. We still won enough games. So just to say now injuries on the last 2 games, that was not the pure reason. I think we had a lot more games than 2 where we were not too happy with the outcome. And that's something we have to deal with. But again, we have a transfer period coming up. We still can rectify things that are going our way. And that's the responsibility I have to take, to sign players which will work out after the transfer window, and to look forward.
Next we'll go to Tom Timmerman.
Lutz, hi Diego. Lutz, is this something you think you could get a new coach in place by the end of the season, or is this going to have to wait for next year?
Hi Tom, I don't see you, so I hear you, which is okay. We're definitely looking at the market right now, that's clear. But it was a decision which was made yesterday and today. So we're not having 10 coaches already in our back pocket. So we trust in John Hackworth. He knows the team. He knows the players. He's here since a long time with the club, with one of the first guys here, which I brought in. So we have a very strong and good feeling about that. And we will take our time to make the right decision and the right choices, to have the normal process to make a short list and interview candidates. But also, we want to see now what's happening in the short term. That's now a game coming up in 2 days' time against San Jose, which we want to win, which is a big game for us. And I'm right now focused on to help John Hackworth as much as possible to get the result we need.
And then just if I could slip in a second one, how far back does this go? How long has this been brewing as this winless streak continued, as you've been thinking about this?
I think we don't make these decisions based on a very short run. No, so we're 20 games into the season, and you could even go back a little bit more into the last stretch of last season. And I think you are all the time looking at what you're seeing on the pitch, but also what you're seeing off the pitch, and you're trying to make those judgment calls of when's the right moment to make a change, if a change is needed at all. No, and I think based on the results especially, but then when you try to think about are we able to, do we have confidence in believing in the process and just giving everything more time, or do we think that this requires a bigger change to cause more of a mental reset and a reset amongst the team? And in this case, 20 games in is when we felt that moment had arrived. We also are hopefully at the end of a pretty difficult string of matches. So 9 games in a row with no wins, 3 points out of a possible 27 points in the last 9 games is a bad form. So I think this feels like the moment where the decision had to be taken, and at the same point, we are encouraged by the thought that we have 14 games to go. This isn't poor form with 5 games to go. This is poor form, but with 14 games. So that's more than 40% of the league still pending. So that's why we felt that this was the right moment, thinking about the past 20 games and especially the last 9, but also the opportunity to still course correct in the next 14 games and hopefully get into that position that we want to be, which is qualifying for playoffs.
Brendan?
Lutz, did you not see enough player development or player progression from some of your guys this year? Maybe, for example, in A.Z. Jackson that maybe plateaued or maybe took a step back. Did you need to see more guys maybe taking steps forward like you did last year?
I think I have to go back. If you compare it, last year was an unbelievable season. It was unexpected. We overperformed without any doubt. And you create expectations. We underperformed, definitely so far, the expectations. Players which nobody knew performed brilliantly last year, but then it came also to the point that they got stuck in their performances, and we didn't develop as much as we wanted. So in the end of the day, it always comes down for me that in recent weeks we did look flat, we did look not as sharp as we were last year, and that is the moment when you feel you have to make a change, and that's why we did it.
If Saturday night goes different, you had a 2-0 lead. If you guys hang on to that, you win Saturday night. Is Bradley still the coach today?
If you win on Saturday night, Bradley will still be the coach today, yes.
Lutz, you said you're sticking with the same style of play. All the structural things will remain the same. What was it about Bradley Carnell's implementation of that system, tactical approaches, subs in the second half, things you can point to that were not as effective in helping him keep his job?
I'm not here to hit out at Bradley what I didn't like or what I did like. I think, again, Bradley did a great job last season, and I think the implementation of the style was really good. It was exceptional. We won the Western Conference. And it sometimes comes to a moment when you do not perform that well. But then again, it was not a period of 2, 3, or 4 games. It was a longer way of seeing that, where we had the feeling that things are not going the way. We don't look as good as we were last year. We create not as many high-scoring games as we could. We don't create enough, I would call it, good chances. We concede too many chances for the opponent. So there was lots of things we looked at which were different from last year. And not every year will be the same. But in the end of the day, we have a goal to go for. And we are not a team. And I think this is something St. Louis stands for, that we want to fight, we want to grind, and we still believe in us. And we want to make the playoffs, and that was for us to make that decision.
And one last thing, one of the highlights or things that happened this season for Bradley Carnell was his interaction with Sam Adeniran. Sam's back at training today. Is there anything you can comment on either that relationship or Sam's status with the team?
Well, we had lots of stories with Sam since he's here. He was on loan, he came back, he scored lots of goals. Then he was shortly suspended, he came back, he played again. And it's still ongoing talks about transfer or a trade, but Sam is available for selection. And there is a transfer period to come up on the 18th, and he's a member of the team, so Sam will be exactly as considered as he was before. And we will see on Wednesday or then on Sunday in Colorado how much or if Sam or what he will be in the squad or if he will play. That's something up now for John Hackworth to decide. He was back on the field today, as you saw. He will be back on the field tomorrow, and it's up to Sam. Sam needs to perform. Sam needs to train well, and then he's just getting treated like any other player.
Question for either of you. I'm just curious. You mentioned that there were conversations that were amongst yourselves, coaching staff, and also players, specifically the veteran leaders in the locker room. What did those conversations look like, and how much of their interpretation of the situation as a whole played in to the ultimate decision to part ways?
I think the players, especially those veteran players that you mentioned, have been around football for a while now, or soccer for a while now. This is the reality of the sport, or sports in general, where it is very results oriented. So I don't think that players are surprised by this happening in a moment like the one that we're in now. I also think that those players are the same ones that are thinking about the team and the collective, and they are thinking about, I think someone asked the question around kind of responsibility and blame, and all those players, in the same way that we are not just saying that this is Bradley's fault here. That is not the case. We have a lot of things that we need to improve, all of us. We've had some misfortune with injuries. And I think those leaders in the dressing room are the ones that are able to also recognize that the players need to come together and the players need to perform as well. And it's great to hear those leading voices assume that responsibility and to try to bring that team together, which I know the team needs now, especially after a moment like this when a manager's let go. That team unity is going to be key, and it's going to determine whether we have a good rest of the season or not. So those voices in the dressing room are are absolutely fundamental.
Lutz, I guess, for you, looking ahead with Hackworth stepping in, is there a similar level of expectation with the club getting points out of these next games? And if that fails, are you prepared to make another change?
You need to look at it a different way because we won't make another change. It's a clear statement that he's the interim head coach for now. We will look at the market within the MLS and, of course, also internationally for next season or maybe earlier and see what's on the market. But John have our full belief and our full trust. He's not a stranger to the club. And I think the games who coming up now, it will not change our goals. We still want to make the playoffs. If we would have said we don't care anymore about the season, then he don't make a change. So it's a clear statement from us that we want to have a different mindset. We want to be out there and be successful. So that made us actually make this decision for a reason. And if we wouldn't believe that John is the right guy, then we wouldn't have done it. As I said before, I repeat that John knows the club. He knows lots of the players. He worked with lots of the players. He also was last year an assistant coach on Bradley's stuff. So there is nothing really new. There is no surprises for anybody out there, and we still want to reach our goals, of course.
Santi.
Lutz, considering the beginning of the transfer window is still 2 weeks away, and that the team has 4 games before the beginning of the transfer window. Lots of injuries, some players gone. What's the plan to address the shortage of players for these 4 games?
You only can control the controllable. If Carl Hibbert is called up for the Copa America and surprisingly Canada goes through and he does not come back, then there is nothing we can do about. If Josh Yarrow clashes with somebody with the heads and is out, that's not what we can control, and same as the other injuries. So it's for us a time to prove ourselves. I will go back last year. I remember we played actually away to San Jose and we had hardly any players and nobody actually thought we can do anything. And we had a team out there where people were laughing about us before. I remember that very well, and we won there. And then we got a streak of, I think, 3 or 4 games which we won. So this is what we made of. We have players who need to step up. We have a great team in City 2. We have lots of youngsters who can do that. And there was not just bad situations in Vancouver. We had Johnny Klein who played a decent game. We had Torreson who played the last 2 games very well. So it's not like that we just have to sit down and cry and wipe our tears and be upset. I mean, we need to be aggressive. We need to look forward and we need to win and need to pick up as many points as possible before the transfer window hits. Once the transfer window is there, we will have a better squad. Players will come back healthy. There's a Leagues Cup where we have enough time to prepare for the last 9 games which are left then. And then it's all about attack and do what we have to do.
We've got time for 2 more. We'll go to Ben Hockman and then finish with Tom Schwartz.
Lutz, you guys are first in shot attempts, but of course, or second in shot attempts, but last in shots on target. I assume that played into this decision. How can you improve on that? What needs to happen?
It's all about confidence. How are you around the box? We getting into good positions. We dropped lots of leads. So there is lots of different points you can look at. It's always pretty easy to pick one out. I think we do get into good spaces. We do have opportunities to score. And we just don't take our chances at the moment. On the other hand, we concede too many goals and we concede too easy goals because we let the opposition create too many chances. So be well organized, believe in ourselves, and sometimes it happens, or it happens a lot, especially in professional football. If there is a coaching change, there is this momentum when players starting at a clean slate, they want to prove themselves. They believe, the players who didn't play, they believe we have a chance now. We can actually start from zero. We can be a starting player. Players who played every single game, they know they need to be on their toes because what happened before somehow doesn't count anymore. So I just see that as a good opportunity to get everybody on the same page, to get everybody out there to fight for their places. And then we'll create more chances and score more goals if you have more confidence and more belief.
And we'll wrap up with Tom Schwartz.
Hey guys, last year this team played like they were underdogs, like they had something to prove, and it sort of seems to be missing this year. Do you think John Hackworth can bring that back, that sense of urgency?
Yes, Tom, he can. That's why we decided after really long thoughts that we want to go with Heck. We love to have the underdog role. We still like to have it now because that is what we're made of. We don't want to be necessarily the favorites. This year, of course, it was a different set because now we are the team which other teams want to beat. But it doesn't change the structure and the way we want to play. The will, the mindset, the aggression, and be out there to fight till the last moment was something which was still there, but I felt it became a bit softer, it became a bit flatter, and getting now fresh blood, fresh thoughts, and a lot of motivation and a lot to play for. I think you will see a team which will be ready and very motivated on Wednesday evening.